Hey guys, this is Lucas with Behemoth Racing. We're changing the direction of our channel a little bit, and we're going to talk about some of the cars that you guys have been asking a lot of questions about, such as the Copo, drag pack, our Charger, is another one we get a lot of questions on. So the Copo Camaro, if those that aren't familiar with it, is a factory-built race car. It stands for Central Office of Production Orders, is what Copo stands for. And it's a part number from GM where you can order a race car with more power than anything you could get in the 60s. It is a very, very strong car. These cars make about 1,300 horsepower from the factory, although they're rated at 600 horsepower. So, NHRA rates things different than SAE does. So, it's a different type of power. Cage from the factory, you have a parachute, wheelie bars, all that comes from the factory. It is as much race ready as it could be. My father and I actually built the car from the 350. The 350 was not performing to the specs we wanted it to, so we ended up changing the motor. The basic setup in this car is, it's a 427 built by Thompson Motorsports Outlaw with a set of Brodex BR7 BS heads with a Magnuson 2650 that we pulleyed down as tight as we can without overspeeding the supercharger. Air shifted, it's a great car. It really is, and we're going to explain to y'all what it takes to actually maintain and keep this car going. The Thompson Outlaw block was available to us at the time, so we ended up using a 427, which has been a good thing for us. And this car makes about 22 PSI boost. It's a great car, runs E90. One of our partners at Night, Racing Fuels, has helped us out with that. I would suspect the car will go 7s when we re-gear. That's something we have in the near future plans. This motor is only capable of turning about 7,500 RPM, or that's all we're comfortable turning it to. The original motor could turn about 8,500, so we have to re-gear in order to make up for the difference in that. The car is air shifted. It uses a M&M shifter powered by CO2. So the M&M air shifter basically works off there's a bottle of CO2 in here with us, and when we turn that on and the car is actually in gear, we're just going to cycle it by hand here, but when it hits 7,500 RPM it should do just like that. This is a Turbo 400. This one does not have a clean neutral like I would prefer it to, but it goes first, second, third. And then when you have to go back down, you can slap shift second if you want to, but first you have to actually, that way you don't over rev it. So that's basically what it's for, is to make sure you don't do that. But that's basically how that whole system works. We learned on the stock motor that it had a blown head gasket, and that was the reason we had pulled the 350 supercharged out of the car. Upon further inspection, it looked like the original motor had some clearance issues with the heads. It had pop-up pistons in it, and they were actually borderline striking the head. So we pulled that motor apart. Everything looks fine on the old motor, but we went ahead and went with a 427 because it fits our goals a little better. The car has already went 840s with us lifting at 1,000 feet. I suspect we will go deep 7s whenever we re-gear. So when we bought the Copo, it was a big learning curve because we were used to street cars. And learning an NHRA car is completely different, but there are some good things about it. The NHRA cars are so much easier to maintain. What we learned though is the fuel that the NHRA uses is really bad to foul plugs. So we ended up switching to it E90. The NHRA does not allow their cars to run ethanol. But if they did, it would be a lot cleaner. These two plugs, this one is from at night, this one is from C16, and this is idle only. We were changing these plugs once a week minimum. We tried to lean it out to even 15.7 to 1 AFR, and we still had problems with fouling plugs. With at night, those problems have gone away for us, and the car makes more peak power. That was our main issue with the first motor, in my opinion, is it was detonating with a C16, which led to a blown head gasket, and which probably led us to find the head gasket issue and the clearance issues in it. So it's a challenge, but I'm glad for the opportunity to learn this. There's so many more options with these cars than is with a street car. So the next step on the car for us is going to be changing the setup on the motor, and the rear end is going to have to be re-geared, like I said earlier. The goals for the car are to run 750s consistently and be able to do it back to back. It's a challenge in these cars because there's a lot of heat that the Roots charger generates. So at some point we will probably change that setup. It will still be supercharged, just not this way. Cooling is a major factor in making power. The colder the air is, the more spark you can add. And that's what generates your horsepower out of a gasoline motor. We had trouble with a lot of belt slip on the Copo. We were asking for 20 pounds of pressure and the car was only making 10 pounds. So after talking to Chris Bailey, he and I decided to recog the rear, and then the belt slip issues actually got worse when we did that. So we ended up having to reclock the tensioner. I'm from a machining background, so I was familiar with how to do that. My father is too. So we clocked the tensioner further down, which allows the tensioner to keep more tension on the belt, which prevents slip. You can buy one of these cars for about 130 new. To maintain it year over year, you're gonna end up spending another 10 to 15 into the car, probably per year. Depending on how hard you are on motors, how high you're willing to rev, and what type of motor setup you go with. The blower cars are a little worse to maintain because you have to maintain the blower and the long block. We like to pull the trans once a year regardless, and just go through it, freshen it up to prevent a catastrophic failure. So I'm gonna say 10 to 15,000, and you're gonna go through probably 3 sets of plugs a year on E90. So if you're on C16, you're going through about 52 sets if you start it once a week. So it is what it is. The only special parts for it are to the front supercharger drive. So everything else is LS3 based. The injectors, even the Magnuson is a LS3 base with a LS7 ports because we used LS7 ported heads. So, and the reason we did that is because we had it laying around. So, easy enough. You do go through about 20 pounds of ice per run in these things. Your ice box here, you'll end up putting about 20 pounds in that per run. And that'll keep the car at like 80 degrees max IAT. We did opt to get rid of the strain shocks. One of them was broken when I got the car. So I opted to go with a set of lamb shocks because that's what most people are using to go into the deep sevens are lambs. These cars from the factory are an 890 car if you're lucky. With some adjustments, 780s. So, but you're gonna spend some money to get it there. thank y'all for stopping in on the channel. Let me know which one of these cars you like the best in the comment section. Like and subscribe. And we're going to be bringing you more content on all these cars very soon.